Are you ready to improve your English fluency with the news? This lesson will help you clearly and confidently communicate about what's happening in the world. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started.
Our headline, ex-CEO steps down, says best is yet to come for platform. What does CEO stand for? It's an acronym, which means each letter stands for a word. Chief Executive Officer. So it's the highest ranking position within a company. In this case, the company is X, formerly known as Twitter. So ex-CEO steps down. The phrasal verb is to step down. Do you know what that means? If you step down, it means you voluntarily leave your position. So it's another way of saying quit, to voluntarily but permanently leave your position. The phrasal verb step down is more so used for executive or leadership positions. It's not generally used for lower level positions. You would just say, I quit my job as a developer or as a marketer, but I step down as CEO, as manager, as director. So notice that sentence structure. I stepped down as. You use the preposition as and then your job title. Here are the examples. Now remember, to step down, step is the verb you conjugate. Right here it's in the present simple, past simple, future simple. Don't worry about taking these notes. I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. So now you know what this first part means. Ex-CEO steps down, says best is yet to come for platform. And of course, the platform is X. The social media platform X used to be Twitter. Now, you may have noticed that I said the platform. The article is required because it's a singular countable noun. Articles, auxiliary verbs are often omitted in headlines. Now, the article was also omitted for best, but it is required. And this is a great expression to add to your vocabulary. The expression is the best because it's superlative. The best is yet to come. So just memorize those words as the expression. Now let me give you a context. You could say, wow, Jennifer, this lesson was great. Or I love all your lessons on your channel. And then I can say, I'm so glad you love my lessons and the best is yet to come. So I'm saying, even though you think this is great, the future will hold better things. So my lessons will be even better, even though you think they're great now, will be even better in the future. The best is yet to come. So it's a really positive and inspiring phrase. And if you're excited that the best is yet to come, then put that's right. Put that's right in the comments because I believe that's true. Every lesson I try to improve. So I can definitely say with confidence, the best is yet to come. Now let's review the article. Ex-CEO Linda Yaccarino said she's stepping down. Okay, so here is our phrasal verb, to step down, is conjugated in the present simple. Because the present continuous, you knew that, because we have the ing here and you have your verb to be. She is stepping down. So as our contraction, she's stepping down. Now this is in the present continuous because it's taking place now. When you're the CEO of a company, generally there's a transition period. And even though you've announced that you're stepping down, it will probably be a matter of weeks or months until it's official. So she's stepping down. It's in progress now. After 2 years of running Elon Musk's social media platform, of course, that platform is X. Of course, you can use the word said. It's a versatile word. You can use it in any context, but to add more character and to sound more advanced, you may choose a word like announced, because this is an announcement. She has to share this news with all the staff at her company, with the world, with investors. So announce would be a powerful word. But of course, you can absolutely use say. This is the advantage of having synonyms in your vocabulary to help you express things with more character, more interest, and to sound more advanced. Let's continue. Yacarino posted a positive message Wednesday about her tenure and said the best is yet to come. Okay, so here's our phrase. And notice, because we're in the article, they're going to use correct grammar, which the is required. It's only because in headlines, they want to write it as short as possible. They leave out words like articles or auxiliary verbs. But again, the best is yet to come. Notice the pronunciation here. Tenure, yeah. You have a Y sound. Tenure. And do you know what this means? Her tenure. Tenure refers to the period of time, the length of time that someone holds a position. But just like step down, we really use this for executive positions. So anyone in a managerial, director, or higher, we call that the C-suite. The C-suite refers to all the positions that begin with the letter C. CEO, CFO, CMO. Those are all your C-suite positions, which are the most executive positions. So you wouldn't use this just as to describe your internship or the length you worked as a developer or a teacher, for example. It's really just an executive or leadership position. So here's a reading comprehension question for you. What was her tenure? I already said it. Her tenure was 2 years. 2 years of running Elon Musk's social media platform. So her tenure, the length of time, was 2 years. So about her tenure, and said the best is yet to come as X enters a new chapter. So of course, in a book, a new chapter represents a new theme, a new development in the story. And that's how you can think of it in this context. We use it in the business world. A business can enter a new chapter if they launch a new product, they use a new technology, they have a change in leadership, like we have here, change in priorities. You can say they're entering a new chapter. So that would be the co-location. You enter a new chapter. You can use this in your life. When you graduate from university, you're entering a new chapter of your life. In the workforce, when you get married, when you have a baby, when you buy a house, when you retire, you're entering a new chapter. You can think of it as a phase of your life. Here's an example sentence. I just graduated and I'm excited to enter a new chapter. So my new chapter would be finding a job, maybe my first job. That's my new chapter. I'm excited to enter a new chapter. And then you can add on to be optimistic, to be positive. I know the best is yet to come. So remember, as an expression, you just use these words. I know the best is yet to come, which suggests maybe I really enjoyed being a student. I loved my university or college life. And I know that the future, my new chapter, will be even better. The best is yet to come. So remember, that's a new phase or period. So let's see what this new phase or period is for X. As X enters a new chapter with Musk's artificial intelligence company, XAI. So this is the name of the company. Remember, X is Twitter, used to be Twitter. XAI is his artificial intelligence company. Maker, so the company XAI is the maker of the chatbot Grok.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson.
After stepping down, so of course after is a preposition. We use our verb in ing after prepositions. After stepping down, after she stepped down. So if you wanted to use a subject, you could say after she stepped down. Now, because in that case you have a subject, you wouldn't use the gerund. You would conjugate the verb according to the subject and time reference. Both structures are very commonly used. After stepping down, she said in a post on X, "I'll be cheering you all on as you continue to change the world." Okay, I'll be cheering you all on. Do you know what this word is there for? What's the purpose of it? Because it's part of the phrasal verb to cheer someone on. In this case, all is optional. It's not needed, but you can say cheer someone on. This means to support or encourage someone. If you go to a sports game, you cheer on the team you want to win by saying, "Woo, let's go," or simply by clapping, by making noise. That's how you cheer them on. And that's how the word cheerleader, the people who are there dancing and trying to get the audience to make noise, that's where the name comes from. So to cheer someone on. Remember, this is a phrasal verb, so you need that preposition on to cheer someone on. Let's keep going. Musk hired Yacarino, a veteran ad executive. What does this word mean in this context? And that's the important thing, and why learning English with the news is so helpful, because you see how words are used in context. Because you may know that a veteran is the name for someone who was part of the army or military, who served their country. You call them a veteran. Short form, you say vet. She's a vet. She served in the Air Force for 5 years, for example. But in this case, a veteran ad executive, this is not an ad executive who is in the military. In this case, a veteran means she has a lot of experience. So Musk hired Yacarino, someone who had a lot of experience in the ad industry. So what does ad mean? I didn't explain this because to me as a native speaker, it's just so obvious, but maybe not for you. Ad is short for advertisement. So you might be watching this lesson and say, "Oh, another ad." I know. Ads are really annoying, but you have to understand that I offer this content for free, and it takes a long time and a lot of money to produce these lessons. And if I didn't have ads on my channel, there would not be a channel. So anyway, please cheer me on even when you see an ad. So ad can be short for advertisement. It can also be short for advertising, because as an executive, you wouldn't say advertisement executive, you would say advertising executive. So as a job title, it's short for advertising, but in your context, oh, another ad. There are too many ads. This ad is too long. That's what ad means. Let's review this again. Musk hired Yacarino. So to hire someone means to offer them a job. I hired a new CEO. for example. Now, this is commonly used in the passive form. I was hired as the new CEO. This means I received the job. So you can use to be hired for the person receiving the job, or to hire for the person offering the job. In this context, we can say Yakarina was hired because it's our verb to be conjugated in the past simple. Yakarina was hired in 2023. So Musk hired Yakarino, a veteran ad executive, in May 2023 after buying, again, our verb in ing, after buying Twitter for $44 billion. Don't forget to verbalize this as dollars. Don't add the S to billion. $44 billion in late 2022. In late 2022. Let's keep going. He said at the time that Yakarino's role, so the role belongs to the CEO, and then she was hired as the CEO. So he said at the time, so at the time, so that means in late 2022, late being towards the end. So maybe October, November, December would be late. He said at the time that Yakarino's role would be focused mainly on running the company's business operations. So you're probably aware that in a business context, we use the verb run to represent manage, be in charge of. And then here, notice to be focused on something. So this is because that's her role, or she would be focused. You could also just use the verb focus, that Yakarino's role would focus on. So even if you use the verb focus instead of to be focused, notice you have that ed there, you would still use on as your preposition. Now, you may be wondering why you can use be focused or focus. It's because often in English, there are multiple ways to say the same thing, and the difference between them is so small, it isn't an important distinction. Now, to focus on, focus is the verb. So you can think of that more as an action. To be focused on, it represents the state, because when you use the verb to be, you're describing a state, and the state is focused. So yes, maybe there's a small grammatical difference, but what is the practical difference? There is none. It's so indistinguishable. So that's why I said you can use either one. But just remember, grammatically, they are different. So you need to make sure you're using correct grammar. He said at the time that Yakarino's role would be focused mainly on running the company's business operations, leaving him being Elon Musk, leaving him to focus on product design and new technology. Why did this one use be focused? Why did this one use focus? Honestly, I'm sure the writer didn't have a reason. They probably just wrote it because that's what came to them. To focus on product design and new technology. Now, if you did want to change it to this, then you would want the base verb, because we already have two. So to be focused on product design and new technology. And for this one, you could say would. You want the base verb because you always use base verbs after modals, and would is a modal. So would focus mainly on. Let's keep going. In accepting the job, Yakarino was taking on the challenge of getting big brands back to advertising on the social media platform after months of upheaval following Musk's takeover. Okay, so here, to take on and then a challenge or a task. If you take something on, we generally use this in a work context, but you can use it in your daily life as well. It means you accept a responsibility or you accept a task. This is a very commonly used phrasal verb. You may hear in a business context, even at your doctor's or hairstylist, are you taking on new clients? So are you accepting new clients? Because you can think of my business as a client, it's a responsibility for you. You have to cut my hair every 8 weeks or whatever it is. So it's a responsibility. It's a task for you or the dentist or the doctor. Are you taking on new clients? So this means, are you accepting new clients? And it's very commonly used in the service world. Now, you may say, I took on the challenge of learning phrasal verbs. You accepted that responsibility. I took on. So the phrasal verb is take on, and then it's conjugated in the past simple. Here it's conjugated in the present continuous in question form. I took on the challenge of learning phrasal verbs. Hopefully that describes you, and that's exactly why you're here. Of course, you can just say of becoming fluent or something more general, or you can be very specific. I took on the challenge of mastering modal verbs, for example. Yacarino was taking on the challenge of getting big brands back to advertising. Okay, so if you get them, the big brands, that would be just large companies, maybe Apple or a major cosmetic company like Revlon or a major clothing company like H&M, whoever these major companies are. So a large, well-known international company. And if you get them back to advertising, it means they return, they do it again. So you can use this expression in a more everyday context and say, let's get back to studying phrasal verbs. We've been chatting about movies for the last 30 minutes. Let's get back to studying phrasal verbs. So let's return to this activity. And notice this is a gerund expression. It's because to is part of the phrase. So the phrase is to get back to something, okay? And that's why you need the gerund verb, because to is part of the expression, so it functions as a preposition. So let's get back to, you can have a noun, phrasal verbs, or you can have a gerund, studying phrasal verbs. And it means let's return to this activity. To advertising on the social media platform after months of upheaval following Musk's takeover. Upheaval is a noun. It represents a sudden and major change. It could be disruption, which sounds more negative, but it could be change, which could be positive, could be negative. We don't know yet. So after months of major changes, or in this case, maybe disruptions following Musk's takeover. So takeover, this is also a noun. It represents Musk's control of Twitter, because at that time, the company was Twitter, and then Musk took it over. So he bought it and he took control of it. So that's Musk's takeover. Now, with upheaval, this is a common noun. It sounds quite advanced, a little technical perhaps. You can say AI is causing a lot of upheaval in language learning. So a more basic way, you might say a lot of changes, or even just saying a lot of disruption. AI is causing a lot of upheaval in language learning. But again, it could be positive because it's just major change, but it could be change for the positive as well. So it just depends on context if upheaval is positive or negative. Let's keep going. A number of companies. So a number of, as an alternative, you could say numerous companies, numerous. And you could also just simply many companies or several companies. Numerous sounds quite advanced. A number of also sounds advanced. A number of companies, numerous companies, and that's why you have it as the plural form, because there's more than one. A number of companies had pulled back on ad spending. Okay, so we have our phrasal verb to pull back on something. And in this case, the something is ad spending, spending on ads, advertisements. People pay YouTube to advertise on the platform, and then YouTube pays me as the creator. So if the companies had pulled back on ad spending, it means they reduced the amount. But it doesn't mean that they stopped advertising, or else I would have expected that, had stopped advertising. But pull back means reduce. A number of companies had pulled back on ad spending, reduced ad spending, the platform's chief source of revenue. So chief, we saw in previously that chief was the C in CEO, Chief Executive Officer. So it means the main executive officer. So she is the main one, the chief. So that's what you can think of it as, source of revenue, the main source of revenue. Now, the platform's chief source of revenue, notice this is in dashes here, is because this entire part can be removed grammatically. So when I want to understand the grammar of the word over, I actually have to go back to this part because this doesn't affect the grammar. So let's read that. A number of companies had pulled back on ad spending over concerns. This is the reason why they pulled back on ad spending, why they reduced spending, because they had concerns. Over concerns that Musk's thinning of content restrictions. So the content restriction is, let's just use YouTube because we're here. They will not allow advertising on this video if it's inappropriate for some reason. So that's a restriction. So there are certain things that you can or cannot do with your content. Now, the thinning of means that the restrictions were getting less and less and less. Just like if your hair is thinning, sorry, men, it means you have less and less hair. Okay, so thinning, that's what it means in this context. So let's review this again. Over concerns. Over means because of. It's a great word to have in your vocabulary. Over concerns that Musk's thinning of content restrictions was enabling hateful and toxic speech to flourish. So if it's flourishing on the platform, it means it's increasing in size and intensity, perhaps. So that would be to flourish. And in this case, enabling means was causing or helping to cause. So the thinning of content restrictions was helping or causing the hateful and toxic speech to flourish. Flourish is used in many different contexts, and it can also mean be successful. You can think of it in this case as well. So the hateful and toxic speech is successful. How is it successful? Well, you see more of it, more people are liking it, or sharing it, or commenting on it. So you can think of it in that context, but let me share a completely different usage. You may say learning English will help my career flourish. So in this case, we're not really talking about growing or spreading like the content, the hateful speech, but it's more of that sense of be successful. Will help my career flourish. So this is a very positive usage of the word. And so it just depends. Something negative, like hateful, toxic speech, can flourish, or something positive can flourish as well. The platform has continued to draw criticism and attract controversy. You could replace these. So you could say attract criticism, draw controversy, because in this context, draw does not mean this. It means attract, bring towards you. So you could just use attract for both of them, or you could change the order of them. A day before Yacarino resigned. Okay, so here notice they're using the word resign. What was the word before? You may remember it was a phrasal verb. So you need actually two words. You need the verb and the preposition. Do you remember? Before Yacarino stepped down, stepped down. Okay. Now, resign is another word for quit, but it sounds more formal or more technical. And the word resign is used for any position. So quit and resign are the same word. Quit sounds more everyday. Resign sounds a little more formal. And it's when you leave your position voluntarily and permanently. Step down is used to leave an executive position. But remember, resign, you can resign from your position as a teacher, a hairdresser, a advertiser, whatever it is, any position. Now, we also talked about how you could have a preposition and then you use the gerund verb. So you could also say a day before stepping down, a day before resigning. So you could use that as well, but if you did, you can't use the subject. So it has to be obvious who the subject is, but I think it would be because we already know who stepped down, so you could absolutely use that structure. A day before stepping down, or a day before Yacarino stepped down. In this case, it's the conjugated verb because you have the subject. Before Yacarino stepped down, before Yacarino resigned, Musk's XAI, remember this is the platform that owns his chatbot Grok. Musk's XAI said it was working to remove inappropriate posts on X after its artificial intelligence chatbot Grok shared multiple anti-Semitic comments that triggered widespread condemnation. So, of course, trigger, in this case, it means it caused it to happen. So these negative comments caused the widespread condemnation. Now, condemnation means strong public disapproval or criticism. So notice here, they use the word criticism, but in this case, with this example, they use condemnation, which to me sounds 10 times stronger than saying criticism. When I see the word condemnation, wow, I know it's very severe. So your choice in a word can really have an impact because this is a strong word in English. So I know this was a serious issue. Yacarino did not provide a reason for her departure. So in this case, her departure, you may know this from airplane vocabulary. On your ticket, it will tell you your departure. I guess not just airplane, train, bus. So anytime you're leaving, your trip leaves, your method of transportation leaves, that's the departure time. The departure time, and then you have the arrival time, right? So you can think of it as for her leaving. Yacarino did not provide a reason for her departure. So they included this at the end because, of course, as you're reading this, you want to know, well, why did she step down? Why did she resign, quit, which is another word for step down for executives? We don't know because she did not provide a reason. Well, it wasn't publicly shared, at least. And that is the end of the article, ending on this mystery. However, maybe the reason has been announced. So if it has, feel free to share it in the comments. You can let me know because at the time of this recording, we don't know the reason. So now what I'll do is I'll read the article from start to finish and you can focus on my pronunciation. Ex-CEO steps down, says best is yet to come for platform. Ex-CEO Linda Yacarino said she's stepping down after 2 years of running Elon Musk's social media platform. Yacarino posted a positive message Wednesday about her tenure and said the best is yet to come as X enters a new chapter with Musk's artificial intelligence company XAI, maker of the chatbot Grok. After stepping down, she said in a post on X, "I'll be cheering you all on as you continue to change the world." Musk hired Yaccarino, a veteran ad executive, in May 2023 after buying Twitter for $44 billion in late 2022. He said at the time that Yaccarino's role would be focused mainly on running the company's business operations, leaving him to focus on product design and new technology. In accepting the job, Yaccarino was taking on the challenge of getting big brands back to advertising on the social media platform after months of upheaval following Musk's takeover. A number of companies had pulled back on ad spending, the platform's chief source of revenue, over concerns that Musk's thinning of content restrictions was enabling hateful and toxic speech to flourish. The platform has continued to draw criticism and attract controversy. A day before Yaccarino resigned, Musk's XAI said it was working to remove inappropriate posts on X after its artificial intelligence chatbot Grok shared multiple anti-Semitic comments that triggered widespread condemnation. Yaccarino did not provide a reason for her departure.
Do you want to keep learning English with the news? If you do, put let's go, put let's go in the comments. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.